Alright, welcome back to another video of everything I watched for a month, this time for November. And so for films, I started films with Five Nights at Freddy's. I have a video explaining my story and opinions about this film. Nothing changed. I'm still not a big fan of the film. Think it was still a trashy movie. The human aspects, as unsurprisingly, being the worst parts of it, and how they made Matthew Lillard's character this weird voodoo scientist that can use ghosts of kids to control the animatronics, and they set up this relationship between those abductees and Josh Hutcherson's character. I do not think it was the best way to bring this game to live action or just like a cinematic story, so I really don't understand what they were trying to do, but all that was just my opinion. I didn't like the film. Then I watched The Killer. I also have a review for this. See, I was trying to be a good YouTuber this month. I was really trying to pump out 2 videos a week for you guys. I care. But yeah, The Killer, nothing that hasn't been said other than in that review. Michael Fassbender is amazing. David Fincher really trying to make different films now, because on the surface this is very different from what he has done before, and also feels really small compared to the other stuff he's done. Albeit he did Panic Room, so that somewhat debunks my point, but we cannot deny that he's still making quality. Never watched a bad film from him, and it hasn't changed now. Then I watched Past Lives, trying to watch more 2023 films for a major 2023 film review that I'm planning for next year. But obviously I won't be able to watch everything, but I did watch Past Lives, the A24 film that everyone has been salivating about, especially over that middle of the year, so I just decided to watch it. To be honest, my unbiased opinion, I think this film was just really nice, but what takes this film from 70 to 100 for me is how it spoke to me. But apart from that, the director's selling song, first major film, she crushed it with this, told the story really well, made you feel that pain these characters go through, especially those two. It just hurts my belly so much watching this, and that's to her credit. Made me super emotional, and think when it tries to tell jokes it was super funny. Like that white dude literally writes a book called Boner, for fuck's sakes. How does no one make a joke about that? It didn't really reach my high expectations that I set out for it, but it doesn't matter. It was a really good film either way, and I really want to own a physical copy of this. As I mentioned, I just related with this story. The film opened my eyes, man. This is probably one of the most relatable films I have watched in my life, aside maybe some animated film, but yeah, I love this. And then another film I watched, have a separate review for. What is this? 3 out of 4 so far. Hunger Games, Ballads of Songbirds and Snakes. That is still a very dumb title, and just because Rachel Zegler can sing and plays with snakes doesn't make you just get away with using it. But my opinion on this film is still very rigid. Think it's a good film from the start and was really good. Pretty long film, but never really felt its length. Even towards the end, that it knackered its pacing after all that build up. But forgot to add in the review, also a problem with the third act. How does snow just turn like that quickly? I know I just praised the film for its pacing and everything, but will criticize it rushed the end with the whole snow twist. But aside from that, it was a great watch. Then, because I was so excited to watch Napoleon, I watched The Last Duel and talked about it briefly in my Napoleon review, but I just had to bring it up because it was a damn good film. Shame I couldn't watch this in a cinema, as it had a really trashy release schedule. But how does Ridley Scott tell a 40-minute story 3 times and make it entertaining each time? And that's one thing I just loved upon a rewatch with this film, is that he did the whole different perspective thing. I loved it, and most of it is literally the same thing, and you would think it would get repetitive during the 3rd time of retelling it, but it's the little subtle hints that you just want to notice if he does something different. That's what I love. It's the most obvious, but the best example put in that scenario was when Matt Damon introduces Adam Driver to Jodie Comer. But on the topic of Adam Driver, man, what an absolute weirdo. Bro talks about coming from nothing, but the amount of nepotism he gets from Ben Affleck. But on a rewatch, this film just dissolves on me like butter on bread, despite it repeating itself, which I just have to commend again. The directing was great, and in Ridley Scott fashion, the actual Last Duel was really entertaining. Like, who doesn't want to see Jason Bourne and Kylo Ren just joust on each other and fighting? It was captivating on first viewing and still gave me that intense nail-biting edge of the seat entertainment again. It just felt real. Truly regret not watching this in a theater. Then I watched Napoleon the next day, saw a bunch of people criticizing this film for its pacing being off. So that criticism as being confusing, as it didn't feel like a drag for me personally. Still stand with that, but I checked and I saw this film was 10 minutes shorter than the Ballads of Songbirds and Snakes, and I thought to myself, maybe it wasn't paced as well, because if you ask me which film felt shorter and kept me engaged more, fingers are pointing to the longer one. But yeah, I think this film wasn't for me and felt very choppy. As I explained in that video, I said it felt very start-stop. Maybe that's why it didn't feel boring for me. It was just making me chase the laser till the battery ran out. Just want to see the 4-hour cut and give my actual review for this. Then I watched more films from this year, stuff that I just couldn't watch in the cinema, mainly because of SAPA, sometimes of scheduling conflicts. So just going to speed run through these films. First, Missing. I think the first half of this film is super solid and slides down a bit from exactly the halfway point. Just rushes everything and moves a million miles per hour. But it settles in after a bit and gets better. The twist at the end blew me away. Won't label it as nail-biting suspense, but it did leave me pausing the movie a lot to let out some steam, so I rate it for that. It also had that babe from The Last of Us. The next film I watched was Meg 2, and yeah, I'm happy I didn't waste my money for this. Luckily for the movie, it had a couple decent moments for me to not label it as the worst film of the year. And honestly, in my opinion, it started off really well for a film of its type, then didn't take long till its entire story just melted. Had a bunch of storylines which just leaves you confused, like who is who in this film. I will label it as wacky fun though, but it just made me nauseous by how much was going on, so nah. Then Magic Mike The Last Dance. This movie is simply not for me. So are these just how the Magic Mike films are in general? Generic movies and then a 30-minute dance bit at the end. Would admit that his dance choreography was really good. Love Channing Tatum in that wet bit. Pause. But yeah, Channing Tatum was really good at dancing, and I don't know, I'm pretty sure he loves this character and the franchise, but I don't know, especially at the start, I got this feeling that he just didn't want to be there. I understand like that's what it was saying, that he was like retired from it. I don't know, it was just this, maybe I'm just looking too much into it. And finally, Shazam. One positive is that I'm starting to like Rachel Zegler more. She wasn't anything special in this, but I think her acting at the start was really good. Like when she was this awkward high schooler, especially compared to the other characters. Like, how did they get Lucy Liu in this? I don't understand the motivation of the bad guys. Like, they shouldn't be pissed at humans. Wasn't it the wizard that took their powers and everything? Didn't make sense. But overall, it's just a generic superhero film, and I'm happy I didn't watch it too. And I think that just wraps it up for the films I watched this month. And now on to TV. I finished Gen V. I have a whole video on that, so I would not waste your time. I think I even did 2 videos on it, so just moving on. Likewise, Invincible. Invincible was fun. But yeah, it sucks that this was split into 2, especially when it was just getting good. Most of my issues with the season were sorted out in the last episode, especially the whole Eve not being involved as much. But why are they doing this to us, man? Robert Kirkman, do not do what The Walking Dead on us. I'm begging. And also, I forgot to also mention in that video, Amazon Prime, gosh, put the X-ray for Invincible. Also caved in and I watched Rick and Morty season 7. And I have to admit, there are a couple good episodes on here. Really love the spaghetti episode, regardless of it, the whole thing being disturbing. And I think the last episode 7, I think that was the last episode that came out, was Rick and Morty at its best. Just like the classics of fun Rick and Morty adventure. Also throwing summer in. It was just entertaining and funny. And let's see how they keep going on without Justin Roiland. Also watched the season 2 of Loki, and I think it's really good, especially since most of what has come out from Disney lately has been subpar. But compared to the last season, something just fell off. Yeah, Sylvie was barely in this, but regardless, the Tom Hiddleston, probably one of the most fully fleshed out characters in the MCU. And I think Loki really benefited from the TV show and season 2. It just felt planned out and was a really good watch, also being a really good end to his character. I will also admit that Jonathan Majors was really good in this, but that's just about it. And then I finished Succession, and that is TV at its finest. This show just damaged me. Spoilers if you haven't watched this, just skip to the next segment, Doom Patrol. But seeing Thomas CEO just at the end just makes my tummy turn. Makes me sick.
Lois was one down.
Because it was always funny when he was always plotting out his plan to shave, that he would take the crown and everything. Like all that mocking of him just slaps me on the face. Shave, you animal. But aside from that, it's just a freaking good show. Season 4 felt a bit fast and a bit rushed. felt like it got slowed down a bit, especially after the death of Logan. But honestly, the final episodes were really engaging and everything just landed. Everyone in this show, main character, side character, just phenomenal. Not a single bad performance, and I would definitely be binging this show again sometime. And I finally finished Doom Patrol. The balls to drop the episode 7 with no recap, thinking anyone will remember everything since January, just makes me feel like they just wanted to kill this series off completely, and was about to get mad for that. But it was a definitive end to all the characters, each and every single one of them. Still crazy that Brendan Fraser is in this. There was this one bit in episode 10 with Rita telling Larry she has no one, like everyone has like somebody in the TV show. It was just really great and made the ending land way better. Overall, aside from its quirky CGI and special effects, it told a really good story, and although it's over, I'm happy it had a good ending. That's not a luxury a lot of TV shows get these days. I'm looking at you, HBO Max. Pretty ironic. So yeah, that just wraps it up with everything I watched this month. Thank you for watching another one of these. I'm so grateful. I also want to thank each and every one of you for 100 subscribers. Took me almost a year to reach this, and I'm super grateful. Thank you again for watching and subscribing. I really appreciate it, and I will see you in the next video, which should be a Willy Wonka video before the prequel. So thank you again. I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Baby,